Okay, Jason, this video is for you. I have your twiglet, and I was just putting the canopy on, and then I remembered that I told you that I would kind of show you how I soldered things up and stuff, because I know you're pretty new to quads, and you were asking me, or I think you were saying something like that you can solder, but you just don't know what goes where and whatnot. So I'll do this video so that way you have something you can go back and look at whenever you want. So let's start with the receiver. So we got the XM Plus right here. I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see this. I know if I get too close to the camera, then it goes out of focus. So let me see. Let's see if I can use. I've never tried this before. Let's try putting the magnifier. Oh, I wonder how good that'll work. Okay, so we got the XM Plus. We have 3 wires coming off of it, and what I like to do with the XM Plus is I take the antennas off and then I flash it for RSSI. Then I'll take the antennas and run them the other way, because when you have them coming out this way, they'll bend, and then you just keep bending it, and then it just snaps off of the plug really easily. So if you run them this way, that doesn't ever happen, because you see it bends right here instead of right where the plug's at. So it's a really good idea to do that. I got some of that 60-pound Gorilla foam tape under it, and then we got green is signal, orange is power, and black is ground, and they're running right over to here on the flight controller. This is a Beta FPV 12 amp F4 all-in-one, and it's these top 3. So you got ground at the very top, then power, then signal, and then you got the Runcam Nano 2. You got a nameless 400 milliwatt VTX, which is attached to the back of the Runcam there. And so there's 7 wires total, 4 for the VTX, 3 for the camera. The 3 on the camera is power, ground, and video in, and the 4 on the VTX is power, ground, video out, and tramp or smart audio. So coming around this side of the flight controller, here's where the receiver goes. So around this corner over to here, from the very top closest to the USB, you got smart audio, ground, power, and then another power and ground. So power and ground for each the camera and the VTX, which works really good for the nameless VTX since it doesn't have its own 5-volt out on it. And then you got your video in and video out. Video in comes from the camera, video out comes from the VTX. And that's about it. I got well, this came with the flight controller already. It's got a cap in here on your XT30, so that's pretty much it. Very basic for this type of build. Well, it's basic to me because I've done so many of them. Some builds I do get really complicated with, like, you know, pit mode switches and LEDs and all kinds of other stuff, you know, GPS and whatnot. But this one's just so basic. You know, it's literally just these 7 and these 3, and that's it. I mean, I didn't even have to solder this on because it came with the flight controller already. So alright, so I will get this finished up and come back when it's done. Alright, so here it is finished up. Let's see. I think I already went through all the parts. We'll just do it again real quick because I don't remember. So this is the twiglet frame, Racer X twiglet. We got the Zing 1103 10,000 kV motors. We have the Beta FPV 12 amp all-in-one flight controller. We have a XM Plus and nameless 400 milliwatt VTX, Runcam Nano 2, and a Axie Micro. I put the battery mount that's for the 452S on here because I know you said you were going to mostly be doing 2S. but it does come with other ones. This one's a little bit bigger. I don't remember what battery this fits. And then there's a smaller one. This is like a 1S one, like a 450 or 500 or whatever, 1S. But this one, let me see, it might be a 525. Yeah, it's pretty big for that. So maybe a 450 or 525 3S or something like that. I think it's probably for a 450 3S. And it's not super hard to swap it out either. You can see it has like the cross, so it goes in diagonally like that, and then you just pop it either this way or this way. So to unlock it, you just go diagonal and then pull it out. Pretty cool. So I showed all the wiring and stuff that I did. So next, I guess we will show the video and do a little hover. It's already bound up to my radio, but for binding, this is XM Plus, so you're gonna do D16 mode. The bind button is in the back here where all these wires are right here. So it's kind of in between this red and yellow right here. I'm touching it right now, so it's very easy to get to the bind button. But you got to make it's going to be a little bit hard for you because you're going to have to hold the plug, like, you know, to where it's ready to be plugged in but not plugged in. And then at the same time, you got to make sure you feel or hear the click on the bind button. Hold that down and then plug in the battery. Hold it down for a couple more seconds after you plug in the battery. And then if you look in the front, then you can let go of the bind button. And if you look in the front through this little hole, you'll be able to see two solid red LEDs lit up. And then when you hit bind on your radio, you'll see one of them start flashing. And then wait like 5 seconds or whatever, hit bind on your radio again to stop the bind. Then unplug the battery, plug the battery back in, and then you'll see the red LED on the receiver turn green. And if it doesn't, it's because your radio is too close to the quad. So this is just how it is with XMs and any FR Sky receiver, really. If your radio is like even this close, even like a foot away, it's still too close. So what I usually do, if I see that it's not turning green, I'll just grab my radio and I'll like hold it behind me, you know, just farther away, like 2-3 feet away, and then all of a sudden you'll see the red LED turn green. So yeah, it needs to be at least 2 feet away for it to be bound. But then once it is bound, you can get closer, but not too close. If you end up like this close, it'll lose its bind again. It's just kind of weird how that works, but yeah, you want to be, after you get the green LED, you want to be at least a foot away. So, alright. Okay. Alright, there is your video. Looks great. Got your RSSIs working right there. Alright, so let's do a hover. Alright, here we go. Damn. Flying very nice. It is on 4.1.1. The thing that I like about this particular setup a lot is that just with the size of the motor, the KV, and these props, I love how, like, when you give it throttle, it does exactly what you want, and it has a ton of power, like on the top of the throttle. I mean, everywhere it's just perfect. It's kind of hard to explain, but some builds that I do, you know, you give it throttle and it'll just jump up, and then it'll kind of stay up there even after you drop the throttle and kind of float, you know. But this doesn't do that. It just does exactly what you want. It's just perfect. So hopefully you enjoy it. I know I would. Yeah, so that should, oh wait, let's make sure that Tramp's working real quick, or Smart Audio. Alright, so for that you go throttle middle, yaw left, pitch forward, brings up the menu. Just a second, honey. And then you go down to features, go over to choose it, go down to VTX TR, over to choose it. Can't really see very good. Okay, let's go down to band. We'll put it on Fat Shark channel. We'll put it on channel 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now we'll go down to set. Okay, so it was on Fat Shark 1, so we'll go to 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, so it's working. Cool. Save and exit, save and exit. Alright, so that's good. One more thing I almost forgot to do, and that is to unlock the VTX. So what I have to do is set up pit mode on a switch. I usually do it on auxiliary 4. So if you set up auxiliary 4 on your radio, it's going to be pit mode. So if you flip it 3 times within 30 seconds of plugging in the battery, it'll unlock it or lock it, and I'm going to unlock it. So if you do that again, it'll lock it. So you could just get rid of the pit mode in Betaflight modes tab if you wanted to. You just click X on it to lose it, and then click save. Alright, that should do it. So I'm gonna get this thing unlocked, boxed up, shipped out, and I'll send you over tracking. Alright, thanks Jason.